This is 93.5 CHMR FM.
Sunset Flip Wrestling presents, in association with the And I Quote Facebook page, Ring Rust on 93.5 CHMR FM.
Brave a horse, ride a cowboy.
To make a request, call 864-7935. Add 709 if you're calling long distance. Or email fanboy@markjabroni.s5.com. Hell Frozen Over for WWE Hall of Famer and from Dilbert, Judge Stone Cold Steve Austin. If you ever saw that episode of Dilbert. My friend Damien was a big fan of Dilbert, and then he put the cartoon series on, then I think we just happened to both be watching at the same time, because I'm not exactly disinclined to read the Dilbert comic either. So I checked out, we were both sitting there watching an episode of the Dilbert cartoon, and all of a sudden, and there was this like There's this court scene, and then some guy says, and now presiding, Judge Stone Cold Steve Austin, and his entrance song comes on, and he comes out and talks to the guy at the microphone, gives him a stunner, and gets up on the podium. Actually looked pretty good for a Dilbert version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. He actually did the voice, too, as I recall. This is Fanboy Mark Gironi. You are listening to Ring Rust on 93.5 CHMR FM. So speaking of Stone Cold Steve Austin, now originally, I kind of just thought, like yesterday or earlier today, I'd like to start the show with Steve Austin's theme. So, turns out it was actually kind of appropriate, as I found on the And I Quote Facebook page, which I shared onto the CHMR's Ring Rust Facebook page. Probably the easiest one to get to would be the Ring Rust page, which is tinyurl.com/ringrust, or go to markgibroni.s5.com and click on the Facebook link, which will bring you to that page. Or click on the And I Quote logo up in the upper left, and you'll go to the And I Quote page. I, as yet, don't have a little logo to put on there to bring you directly to the sunsetflipshow.com website yet, but it's probably because I haven't asked for one. I'll get around to that a little bit later on today or tomorrow or whenever I'm next communicating with Jim Boy Star. What would it take to overthrow Laurinaitis? God, I hate that man. What is going on with John Laurinaitis? Why is he still in charge of both Raw and SmackDown? I'm sick of Johnny Laurinaitis, and I'm sick of the Big Johnny era. These are just a sampling of tweets from the last 12 hours. As of, when did it say when this was posted? Well, yesterday. Okay, so last 24 hours then. Many members of the WWE Universe are clamoring for change. Beyond the social media outcry, there's the chorus of boos at live events, the call for fan signs, and angry rants on YouTube. At the end of the day, it's all white noise to Big Johnny. Laurinaitis still reigns over both Raw and SmackDown. Teddy Long, the former GM of SmackDown, is still wearing a cleaning apron. And John Cena, the last superstar who tried to derail People Power, was knocked out cold twice on consecutive nights by Big Show right after the executive vice president of talent relations signed the Giant to an ironclad contract. But there's one man who could potentially stop the tyrannical GM, and he's not even in the WWE locker room. Heck, he's someone who hasn't appeared on Raw in almost a year. If you want to see Stone Cold Steve Austin open up a can of you-know-what on Laurinaitis, give WWE.com a hell yeah. One thing Austin does best is drive authority figures mad. From the time he first gave Mr. McMahon the Stone Cold Stunner on Raw, and there's a link there for you to watch it, in 1997 to humiliating then GM Eric Bischoff at No Way Out in 2003. Is that the one where they had the redneck singing karaoke, whatever they called it, and you had to spin the wheel? The Texas Rattlesnake's resume is jam-packed with subversive incidents that would give Big Johnny nightmares just thinking of the possibilities. Try to picture Laurinaitis sputtering away in his scooter with Stone Cold hot in his trail in his trademark ATV. That's kind of what happened when Vince McMahon was in a wheelchair. And then Steve Austin just had that little gun with the little flag in it, bang, 316. Both Cena and WWE champ CM Punk have threatened Laurinaitis' rule, but no one has truly been able to shatter his resolve. And every time someone gets close enough, Big Johnny has found a way to wiggle out of trouble, even if it means allowing behemoths like Brock Lesnar and Big Show to go on a rampage in WWE. Austin's take-no-prisoners approach could be exactly what's required to hold the monsters at bay. After all, the former Raw sheriff, whatever happened with that, remarkably escaped Big Show's attack when the world's largest athlete debuted in WWE at St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1999. And Stone Cold also gave Brock a farewell stunner after his match with Bill Goldberg while serving as a special guest referee at WrestleMania 20, where something happened that WWE doesn't really like acknowledging anymore, given what that person did. More on that momentarily. If a new figurehead on Raw and SmackDown is needed to replace Laurinaitis, Stone Cold has proven he can fill those boots, too. He's been a no-nonsense boss before, taking on a variety of administrative roles, from general manager to the CEO of WWE. I remember that. He went into Vince McMahon's office and ordered dozens of beers. And everybody had big smiles on their faces because they were working for Stone Cold and not Vince McMahon, who was a big old jerk. Admittedly, all of this adds up to wishful thinking. John Laurinaitis has survived the worst and is fully intent on staying in power for many, many years to come. But the WWE Universe has made their opinions known loud and clear. Now it's a matter of who will ultimately step up to answer their call. In the meantime, keep dreaming of the sound of breaking glass, which of course is what we started the show with. So, and yeah, that thing that I mentioned, the fact that something happened at WrestleMania 20 that I read in a WrestleMania, one of those History of WrestleMania magazines they put out for every WrestleMania, a history of WrestleMania up till this one. So 23 or 24, something like that, I guess, sometime after June of 2007, whichever one. So in that magazine or on the website or one of the two, I don't remember. And it was a little bit after. It was noticeably after it happened, too. It was probably more than one WrestleMania after it happened. The listing for the main event of WrestleMania 20 in that particular magazine or on the website or wherever exactly it was said that Triple H lost his World Heavyweight title in a triple threat match which featured Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. No mention of who actually won that triple threat match. And those of us who have been fans long enough or who just, have thought to go look it up, know who the World Heavyweight Champion was at the end of WrestleMania 20.